Jim asked us to come up here because 13 months ago, I met John for the first time at the Stony Creek Inn in March of '09, when through the Glenn Beck show, they did all kinds of advertising and mentioning and emailing about they're getting together in Peoria to start the Tea Party, or the 912 as it's called. That's a Glenn Beck thing. And it's the same thing, Tea Party movement. Well, 160 people showed up. I don't think we knew anybody. They went around, and after they watched the Glenn Beck show, they decided to organize by areas. And they asked who was here from Peoria Heights. John put up his hand, he's the only one. They went around and said Chillicothe. I put up my hand with my wife, we were the only two. In fact, Carol was there with John. So they said, well, Peoria Heights and Chillicothe are pretty close together. Why don't you guys hook up together? And that's how we met for the first time, like March 16th of a year ago. And we spent a month organizing our first meeting. So what we have done, we've been our 15th month down there in Chillicothe, a town of 6,000 people, 10 miles north of Peoria on the Illinois River. Everybody, it's a Peoria suburb. Everybody works in Peoria and whatever. We have 6,000 people, two-block main streets, that type of thing. A lot of Caterpillar, blue-collar people work in that area. Anyway, we put together a little package of how we want to operate, and we continued forward. So what we've done at Jim's request is written down like 8 or 9 points, and you've got it more and more expanded, because I think you have the salient points in front of you. We're just going to go down here and just hit the top that we believe, if you start at 912, well, 912, you start at We the People. I like to refer to We the People rather than 912. 912 takes 10 minutes of explanation of who you are. When you see We the People, like our wives have on our shirts, and if she turns around, Marianne, turn around.
You need to go by the camera, Mary. Stop.
Stop. It says Central Illinois Tea Party. They sold those down in Peoria when everybody from the Peoria area, we have five groups in Peoria, and we all meet for the Tea Party downtown with 1,000 people down there. And we have our little thing that says Chillicothe's a Tea Party town. You'll see it on the pictures over there. That's some of our pictures from last year and this year I brought along just to show you. But we wanted to just mention some things that if you're starting out, keep in mind. Just like when John just mentioned the grassroots situation. I'll get to that and I don't want to jump into my notes. But let me go through half of this. I'm going to cover stuff like the rise of the Tea Party movement a little bit. What's our nature? What are we? We're not a Lions Club. We don't have dues. Naming of your group. You're wide open to name it. Some of the uniting principles that we found that we concentrate on 2 things. That's all. That's all we concentrate on. Starting out, first meeting, naming co-coordinators, naming a steering committee. We'll talk about that. I'll be doing that. And then John will pick it up with meetings, how we run our meetings down there. What we found out is the best way to run a meeting and what kinds of meetings we've had. And we've had every kind of possible meeting you might imagine. And then we're going to end up with participating with other groups in this area. How you unite and join with other areas. How you connect through the internet, things like this. Okay, so let me start out with the main thing, rise of the Tea Party movement. This is a conservative, not a Republican operation. I say openly it's conservative. A lot of people say, wait, but we're nonpartisan, we don't care if Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians are joining. That's exactly true. But we don't lie to anybody. We're a conservative group, period. But we don't care if you're a conservative Democrat, if you're a Kennedy Democrat, Reagan Democrat, and you look around and say, socialism? Is this what we're going for here? I don't like that. You could be a Democrat who's never voted for Republican in your life, like a couple of friends of mine down in Chillicothe, who the other day, riding along, we're talking about a bunch of issues, and he's agreeing with every darn thing I'm saying. He just told me he's in the UAW for 35 years, and he's never voted Republican in his life. He's never voted for Republican. But his comment was, you know, I never realized how conservative I am. That's exactly who you want at your meeting. But you don't make a Republican, Democrat, we don't care. The Bush era, we have people get up so mad at the meetings about some of the stuff Bush did. They rip harder than they do Obama. So we're not like, hey, we're Republican. So we make sure we use the word conservative. Never use the word we're Republican group, because we're not. Who knows who people sit on each side of an issue. A lot of times we call ourselves patriots. So instead of saying, how many members do you have, you might just, in conversation, how many patriots did you have come to the meeting last week? nice little turn on words. You know, how many patriots showed up? Because you got to go on Front Street. We had our parade last week. It got rained out, but we had 30 of us ready to go. You'll see the pictures over there on the left. We had a trolley all signed up with our nice, beautiful signs, "We the People," and we had a torrential storm. But we were ready to go walk right down Chillicothe, waving at people, and it's amazing, since we've been in other parades last year, the people on the side in Brimfield, these small towns that have old settlers' days, you know, out here, another 15 miles, Frankfurt will have an old settlers' days, and you walk in that parade, the people on this, they're like this, go for it, they're like this. People in their lawn chairs clapping, going like this. You feel great. You're walking down handing your flyers out, right? Come to our next meeting as you hand the flyer. All the people are cheering for you. Go get them, you know, and all that kind of stuff. We had a guy dressed up as Ben Franklin walking along with a big Liberty Bell. You'll see a picture there, the green one on the right in the middle. You can see it there. That's Miss Liberty. She walks in our parades downtown Peoria all the time. She wears the green outfit, the big flowing gown. She holds the torch. And everybody wants to stop and get pictures with her. You know, it's an event. You join together with your group. We're not, the group doesn't endorse candidates. We feel that if we ever had a vote in a primary situation, we had a 20-19, and we've decided ahead of the vote that we're going to tell people outside our group, like the local media, that the quote 912 Project in Chillicothe or We the People movement endorse X candidate. We got 19 people who didn't vote for that person out of 39 votes. What are we doing? We're dividing our group. We say, as we do in our statement of purpose, which is in there, you notice the statement of purpose is in your packet. The bottom two paragraphs under we list the 4 principles of we agreed to and approved at a meeting. We don't endorse candidates. We're nonpartisan. We don't care if you're Republican or anything. We do not endorse as a group, but we encourage individual members to work, to become educated on candidates and work for them individually. Everybody in this room could like a candidate you bring in for a sit-down with you. We call them forums. Because you got 4 months now coming up where you can get candidates up the wazoo out here. As long as, you know, who are you? We're We the People. We have a little trouble getting Democrats, don't we, John?
I've tried very hard.
John makes the outreach because he always knows, he's smart enough to know, a year from now, we don't want to say we had 10 Republicans come, we never asked a Democrat to even come.
If you offer them something for free, they would have showed up.
Yeah. John makes sure that he
did offer
offers
them something for
both
free and they still
candidates.
didn't show up.
John makes sure that both candidates get asked to come. So back, later on, we can always say, look, we asked, you never returned our call. We told the Secretariat, the National or the County Committee what we were about. We're a Tea Party group. We're called the Chillicothe 912 Project. We'd like to have a candidates forum. We'd like to have your state rep candidate show up or whatever. We just make sure we do that. Anyway, you're a conservative. This is not a Republican group. You can be anything. I don't care what party you are. If you're a conservative, you're one of us. That's what we tell them. We don't care what you are. We're not anti-Obama. We're anti-government progressivism. We try to tell our people, when you get signs for our parades, for the April 15th annual Tea Party, the September 17th Constitution signing date, we have a big celebration coming up 9/17. Say, what's September 17th? It's the day they signed the Constitution. You learn a lot in this business, right, in the last year. And we have a big signing of the Constitution. We have a guy with a little motorized cart. He's got a giant Constitution, and everybody signs it. Just like at the Kroger store or the Jewel, little cart, motorized cart. He's going around with the big Constitution. Everybody's signing it, get their picture taken with it. That's September 17th. That's a nice little event that if you're in the know of the Constitution, and John's taking classes in this, not in Springfield, it's an 8-hour class. Springfield's very good down there. And they educate people. They sign up for a whole day of classes on the Constitution. John comes back, and he's given 2 to 3 half-hour presentations to our group about the Constitution that he learned in that class. Education on the Constitution. But we don't want every sign to have name Obama on it. Because we feel this way. If Obama took off tomorrow and defected, Biden, Reid,